Bartlett Board meeting for November 21st, 2023. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Daney?
Here.
Gansey?
Here.
Gunstein?
Here.
Hopkins? Laporte?
Here.
Swansky?
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. We have requested Reverend Catherine Irwin of Emmanuel United Church of Christ do our invocation this evening. Thank you for being here, Pastor. Reverend.
Good evening. And if you can all, we are a multicultural community, whether it's as obvious as it could be. So in whatever way you address God, please join me in prayer. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for this opportunity to be together this evening. We thank you for the opportunity to be the voice of the people of this village. We ask your prayers upon the leadership, all of those gathered, our mayor and the representatives. We ask your prayers on all of our first responders, our police, our fire folk, and all of the staff that work to keep this village such an incredible place to be. May your spirit of justice and understanding and honor of all people be with all of the hearts of all in this room at this time. May decisions be wise and just, and may your blessings, especially in this Thanksgiving week, be upon everyone here, their families, and again, safe travels for all. In the name of the God that I call Christ, that I know so well through. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend.
You're welcome.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brings us to our consent agenda this evening. All items listed with an asterisk will be enacted in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on items that are on the consent agenda. That being said, would anybody like to add or remove anything from the consent? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted, which will include board committee public hearing minutes from November 7, 2023, bills list from November 21, 2023. The consent this evening will also be including items F1 and F2 under Public Works and Golf Committee.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Hopkins? Yes. Laporte?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next up, we have the Treasurer's report. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you. Included in the board packet for today is the Treasurer's report for the month of September. Also included is the sales tax report. We received $354,588. That was up about 6% from the prior year. For MFT tax, we received $161,807. That was just up $14,000 or about 10% from the prior year. And for our local share of state income tax, or the LGDF fund, we're up to $2,844,000. That would be $4,500,000 if we'd been at the full 10%, so that's short about 1.7%. We're down $185,000 the same time, $185,000 the same time as last year at this period. So income tax is slowing down slightly. That's it for the Treasurer's report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Next up, we have the President's report. I have one item on the President's report, which is a small business near and dear to some of our hearts, Small Business Proclamation. Support your local small businesses, please. Proclamation recognizing November 25th, 2023, which would be this Saturday, I believe, as Small Business Saturday in the village of Bartlett. Get out and spend some money, people. Whereas the village of Bartlett recognizes the vital role that small businesses play in the fostering economic growth, job creation, and community prosperity. And whereas Small Business Saturday is an American shopping event held on the Saturday after Thanksgiving during one of the busiest shopping periods of the year. emphasizing the significance of supporting small businesses that serve as the backbone of the American economy and our local communities. And whereas first celebrated in 2010, Small Business Saturday draws shoppers to main streets across the country with great deals on unique products and services, events that encourage shopping locally, and unique shopping experiences that introduce individuals to new venues. And whereas by supporting small businesses, we invest in the success of our neighbors, friends, and fellow community members, reinforcing the bonds that make the Village of Bartlett a wonderful place to live and work. And whereas the Village has created an online dashboard where businesses can participate in adding their establishments to the Small Business Saturday online map, allowing shoppers to identify all participating businesses and their deals throughout the entire holiday weekend. And whereas the Village of Bartlett will be launching a new initiative recognizing our legacy businesses that have been in service for at least 25 years. And whereas the businesses can sign up on our village website for this program to be recognized for their service to the community over the years. And now, therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, President of the Village of Bartlett, Cook, DuPage, and Kane Counties, Illinois, hereby proclaim November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday in the Village of Bartlett and urge all residents and visitors to join the nationwide effort to support local businesses and merchants and take some money out of Bezos's pocket. So, dated this 21st day of November 2023. That is it for the President's report. Questions for the board or staff?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. First, I'd like to recognize some trustees. We have Mark Hopkins. He's with Planning and Zoning. He's been on that commission. I served with him for 26 years. Bob Gorski, he's with EDC, and he's had 2 years. And then finally, John Getz, Bike and Run Committee. He's been with us for 5 years. So thank you again, gentlemen, for your service. It's greatly
Fantastic. 26 years for Mark Hopkins. To beg him again.
Yeah. Now, I do have something. I could have called staff on this, but I've gotten a lot of questions about this. And rather than call staff and myself, I thought it'd be great to have this as on the record so anybody can read it. I'm being asked constantly about the gas station on Lake Street and North Bartlett Road. That marathon that used to be there. Can you give us an update? Every time I go to the golf course, people ask me that. That's why.
So there are
Every day.
back taxes on the property. Unfortunately, the state of it actually does help us in our TIF eligibility. So right now, that's something that we actually aren't pursuing removing at this time, but it's something that will be considered as part of the TIF redevelopment.
Any time frame, just the ballpark?
No.
I know that, it's my understanding that the site's contaminated also.
So we haven't gotten anything on that. It's just that the tanks are still underground. They have not been.
Still there?
Yeah, the tanks have not been removed.
So when they ask me, you know what I'm going to tell them? Call staff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Brings us to the town hall portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to address the board, kindly step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the room that would like to address the board at this time?
I'm Pat Slemak. I'm 378 East Millwood Drive. My house backs up to Rosika Park, and in between us is a large lot of land, which is ComEd. It's under the jurisdiction I've been there over 31 years. I've been going through chaos. It is basically controlled by DuPage. It's DuPage County property, so Bartlett Police Department cannot say anything about it. What happens is, unfortunately, some of the parents, I'm all for kids in sports, but unfortunately, some of the parents of some of the sports teams, such as the Raiders and the baseball teams, disobey the rules that have been put on there by ComEd, and there's nobody to enforce them on Saturday afternoon. The cars are parked all over the place. The cars park 40, 50 feet, or excuse me, drive 40, 50 feet down the bike path so they can get onto the grass and drive up onto the mound of grass and all that, where ComEd has put signs years ago, do not park on grass. A couple weeks ago, there was also I've seen parents from the Bartlett Raiders as well do spin-outs with the kid in the car. And then after they do their little spin-out, they both get out of the car and go onto the field. Last week or a week ago, a little bit more than a week ago, there was dumping on there. From one of the Elmhurst Stone came dumped on there. We have semis parked back there from time to time. It's like the wild, wild west. There is no rule of law. My thing is, I've talked and with multiple people within the village, there is things that can be done about it. Although Bartlett does not have control of jurisdiction of that immediate property, the ball field that does get loaned out or leased out to the ball field or to the ball teams, and I'm all for the kids, they do have control over that. And if the parents, not the kids, it's the parents that cannot abide by the rules of the law, what is written in there, and it's per ComEd, only temporary parking of passenger vehicles is permitted upon the footprint of property. Currently, there are 2 large trailers and a container parked directly in front of a sign that says no parking. Prior to that, the one trailer was being used as a billboard right along Newport Boulevard as a billboard, and it's very irritating. Again, it was off the footprint. On top of that, there's commercial waste being dumped there from Elmhurst Stone. 9:35 in the morning, one person showed up. I came in, I made a police report. The officer said, if this ever occurs again, let us know. At 12:30 that same afternoon, and I have videos of it, the guy comes from the same place, Elmhurst Stone, empties the chute, or opens the chute for the cement mixer, empties it out, and rinses everything off. And this is what's continuously happening for 30-plus years in my backyard.
Chief, do we have any comments about what we have control over there, or what you might want to do? Do we have any ideas about what we could do with that area?
We have reached out to the Raiders to have that, make sure that they're reminding the spectators that they're supposed to be parked within the gravel lot from when this call first initially came in.
Can we put like barricades so it's just as wide enough as the like the cement things? Don't they have those cement things where you can just make it just wide enough for the bike path? You'd think that would stop the cars from driving down the bike path.
We'd have to talk to ComEd about what they're willing to let us put on their property. So we have recently started discussions with ComEd about updating our lease that we have on that property.
Okay. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Yeah.
No matter what you put up there, it's like, I'm going to prove my 4x4. And I've got a 4x4 feet, I can drive on it. I can drive on the bike. I don't need to park paved way.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Anyone else like to address the board at this time? Who we got online there? Chris or John? Chris? Anyone in there?
No, sir, there is no one.
Thank you, Chris. All right, that does it for Town Hall. Moving on to standing committee reports. First standing committee report is Building and Zoning Committee, Chairman Gunstein.
Thank you, President Wallace. We have 2 items tonight. Just pull it up here. Our first item is the Brewster Creek TIF Fund closing. The village board will consider an ordinance terminating the Bartlett Quarry Redevelopment Tax Allocation Fund and terminating the Bartlett Quarry Redevelopment Project area as it is November 21st, 2023. Regular board meeting, as this is the final year of the TIF district term, the Village of Bartlett will need to adopt an ordinance formally terminating the TIF district and the TIF special tax allocation fund, where the increment funds have been deposited throughout the life of the TIF district. With that, I make a motion to approve ordinance, I don't have the ordinance number,
2023-106.
2023-106, an ordinance dissolving the Bartlett Quarry Special Tax Allocation Fund and terminating the designation of the Bartlett Quarry Redevelopment Project area within the Village of Bartlett, DuPage, Cook, and Kane County.
I'll second that.
Moved by trustee Gunstein, seconded by trustee Daney. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Laporte,
Yes.
Swansky. Yes. Daney,
Yes.
Gansey,
Yes.
Gunstein,
Yes.
Hopkins.
That motion carries.
All right, we have a second item here. It is the YLM Logistics at Brewster Creek Park. The petitioner is requesting a site plan review for the proposed 20,000 square foot office warehouse facility. The office will consist of 5,000 square feet divided into 2 levels, with the second floor being the mezzanine. The remaining 17,500 will be dedicated to warehouse uses. The site contains 36 parking stalls for office and warehouse employees, which meets the zoning ordinance and requirements. There are 69 trailer and semi-truck parking spaces. The petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow outdoor trucking, storage for trailers and semi-trucks. The Planning Commission held a required public hearing, reviewed the petitioner's request, and recommended approval at their November 2nd, 2023 meeting. The Committee of the Whole requested the application be sent directly to the Village Board for a vote. So with that, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2023-107, an ordinance approving a site plan and grading special use permit to allow trailer and semi-truck storage for Lot 22B in the Brewster Creek Business Park.
I'll second that.
Moved by trustee Gunstein, seconded by trustee Daney. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Swansky. Yes. Daney,
Yes.
Gansey,
Yes.
Gunstein,
Yes,
Hopkins.
Yes.
Laporte.
yes,
That motion carries.
that's all we have tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Gunstein. Community Economic Development Committee, Chairman Gansey.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Gansey. Finance Committee, Chairman Laporte.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one item to discuss, a resolution urging the restoration of the Local Government Distributive Fund, also known as the LGDF. The resolution urges the restoration of the Local Government Distributive Fund for Illinois municipalities. The reduction of the LGDF share from 10% to 5.45% and 6.47% as it stands now has a significant financial impact on the Village of Bartlett. Through the first 7 months of fiscal year 2024, the village has lost $2,315,423 due to the LGDF percentage reduction. Additionally, restoring the LGDF would help municipalities deal with the numerous unfunded mandates from the state as the Safety Act. The resolution calls on representatives in the General Assembly to take action to restore the LGDF share to 10% as it was 42 years ago. I move to approve the resolution 2023-108-R, a resolution urging the restoration of the Local Government Distributive Fund for Illinois municipalities.
Definitely second that.
Moved by trustee Laporte, seconded by trustee Daney. Is there any discussion? I know, Mr. Treasurer, when you were mentioning our LGDF being down lower than it was even last year, that's a direct reflection on the income tax being reduced in the state of Illinois, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, people moving out.
What do our state representatives say when we ask them about this? Has there been any feedback, positive or negative, that we can?
Through the COGS, and especially through the DuPage Mayor and Manager's COG, we've been able to meet one-on-one with our representatives and hand them the data sheet for all DuPage municipalities, but Bartlett in particular, that show them the impact that that reduction has had, the importance that it is to our community, and the kind of programs that aren't being funded or that have been state mandated, like the Safety Act, like lead service replacement and police pension funding, that while they make those deadlines for when you have to have these things in place, they make no provision for funding them. So we've been able to have those conversations directly with our state representatives, and it is a challenge to repeatedly talk about LDGF. You know, some of the state legislators actually joke about it. Oh, you're here to talk about this again. Yeah, we are, because it's important. And we've been effective, even though it is small and incremental, but the COGS are committed to continue that discussion in Springfield, and the feeling being that if we back off and go away and take a session off of this issue, it'll be ignored and they think everything's okay.
I mean, the state's collecting more money continuously and not cutting, but municipalities across Illinois are finding ways and need to cut just to make ends meet. Other communities, including, you know, the surrounding area. So they've got to have a lot of pressure coming from other municipalities.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and that is the power of the COGS between Northwest Municipal Conference and DuPage mayor and managers, and passing the resolutions like we have in the past and did tonight. We will send those to our legislators so they have those directly.
Thank you.
Well, and I think one other important thing to bring up for those that don't know, the Local Government Distributive Fund, LGDF, was created in 1969, not as a grant, but as an irrevocable commitment to the municipalities. So a revocable commitment to us in return for their support in creating a state income tax. So we could be like Florida and not have a state income tax, but we cut a deal in 1969, and now they're not holding up to their end of the deal. So we have every reason to be angry about this.
Do we know which other municipalities have done a resolution?
I think all of them.
Have they all? Okay.
I think we'll plan on doing one every year.
And then will like the municipal councils collect those and send those together?
They do a really good job of communicating the impact on each individual community and sending those directly to the legislators for those particular districts. So not only do they do broader things when we have the legislative breakfasts and the legislative coffees where we're all there together, we do have the opportunity to do one-on-one discussions with them directly with our district representatives. And so they get all that information in a packet, like when they do the COG drive-downs to Springfield. So they get it on multiple different opportunities. The COGs have done a very good job in the last year, year and a half to make sure that everyone is speaking with one voice. And so they've standardized a lot of the information sheets and the handouts that we give them so that so that numbers become real and those projects become real, because when you're talking about the kinds of numbers that we're talking about with LDGF, it may not really hit home. So we've done very specific information sheets that we hand to our legislators, and we've heard that those have been really effective for them. But the other big hurdle is also getting the attention of the governor, which a number of local mayors were able to meet with the governor about it, and the legislative leaders, the body leaders. And it is a hot and cold kind of discussion. Some years they tell us it's DOA, and some years they say, yeah, we might have some room, and it always comes down to the last minute to see what percentage we will be getting.
I would just encourage all the board members to reach out to your rep continually, explaining how important it is to us. And if you have any complaints about taxes, tell those people to reach out to their reps and explain to them the money that we're losing because of this. There was a first and a second. The clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chairman Laporte. License and Ordinance Committee, Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. There's nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Hopkins. Police and Health Committee, Chairman Swansky.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Swansky. Public Works and Golf Committee, Chairman Daney.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 2 items on the agenda. Both were covered under consent. We have nothing else for this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Daney. Any new business that anyone would like to discuss?
I do have a couple quick things. In light of all the stuff that's been going around, I'd like to revisit our spa ordinance. I know we had a conversation a year and a half ago about this, and I've reached out to a couple of our fellow trustees here, and I would like to revisit this. I think it's time to, revisit it and come up with a better solution.
What, Dan, I missed that.
So did
spa.
I.
Okay, yeah.
Our spa, our massage parlor spa ordinance.
Can I ask what changes you would like to make?
I think it's one of those that I firmly believe maybe we should make it a special use. So we can define and require the user to go through the process. So we know who actually owns these massage parlors, not just a name that doesn't exist. So more of a microscope of who they are, considering what has been happening.
I tend to agree with you, and there's some possibly some changes. I don't know if we've given it enough time for the changes that we made. And I would just request that the board, once we shoot a couple of shots over some of these places' heads here in the next month or two, why don't we wait and see what the reaction is and see if it has the effect that we want it to have. Because now, those landlords, the building owners, are well aware of the pain they're going to have to go through if they aren't very, very restrictive on the leases that they sign. And we didn't have any issues up until the last 2 or 3. We had issues, but we didn't have any true pain delivered down to the landlords until now. So just recently, we've delivered some down to the landlords. So at risk of spending time reviewing it now, I would just suggest that we have a couple months and see how Chief does with the spot checks and see what happens.
Did we revoke one of their licenses?
You sure did, and congratulations. That was one of the best things that's
That
happened.
was the second or third
Yeah.
time for them?
Yeah, I have the memo that was sent to us by Paula today, and they reached an agreement. And basically, the bottom line is that the owner will be ineligible to receive a massage establishment and business license for a period of 5 years. So the work that was done on behalf of, the investigative work and whatnot, I want to thank you very much. This is good news.
Okay. Any other new business?
I just wanted to wish staff and everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Having everyone.
Hoorah. Gobble, gobble. Any questions? Any additional questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Daney, seconded by trustee Swansky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins? Laporte?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
We are adjourned.